Yo, what's up guys? Alexis here, and in today's video, I'm gonna show you 5 pros and cons on why you should choose Australia for your overseas study. And as always, please don't forget to like and subscribe below, as well as hit up the notification bell. It would really help my channel, and it would really push me to keep on producing content like this for international students. And now let's jump on to the video. Pro number 1. Culture. I believe culture is the most vital aspect in every change of environment, whether it be the workplace, the education system, or the nation. I did my research and I learned that Australia is very warm and it's a very laid-back country. The people are casual, friendly, active, and they embrace diversity. Also, progressive Western ideals. Living in the Philippines, I always felt like I'm a bit out of place. Learning about Australian culture made me realize that's where I belong. Now that I've been living here for over 2 years, I'm 100% confident of my choice. Check out this chart I got from Hofstede's Cultural Dimensions Theory. This is the average percentage per country. See the differences in Australia and the Philippines. One of the things that really annoyed me with the conservative culture is the power distance and the individualism. You can see a stark contrast here. Australia is low in power distance, it's only 36, while the Philippines is so high at 94, which explains why a lot of Filipinos use mom and sir so much. Sorry, I meant ma'am and sir, like madam. And then next is individualism. You can see Australia has a very high individualism level at 90 because people here get kicked out from their houses at 18 years old. While in the Philippines, the individualism is 32, which is quite common in collectivism cultures. And also, it's not very common in the Philippine culture to move out of your house at 18 years old. I mean, I know a lot of people and a lot of friends who still live with their parents well over the age of 30. Pro number 2, global quality education. 7 Australian universities are among the world's top 100 in the QS World University Rankings. The Australian National University, University of Melbourne, University of Sydney, University of New South Wales, University of Queensland, University of Western Australia, and Monash University. So Australia's education is really quality. Pro number 3, proximity to home country. Unlike if I go to the USA, Canada, Europe, or even New Zealand, Australia is the closest developed nation to my country. Philippines, lower airfare costs, but I guess with the coronavirus, that doesn't matter since I can't leave the country and I haven't seen my family for over a year now. But you see my point, which is it is close to my home country and probably to your home country as well, since most of the international students that come here are from China, India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Malaysia, all those other countries. Australia is the closest to us, I guess. Pro number 4, seclusion from the rest of the world. We are far away from the world's bull. Okay, that's why countries like Australia or New Zealand have very low coronavirus cases. Whatever happens with the United States politics or any change in the European Union or wars breaking out in South America, Africa, Central Asia, Australia is far away from all of that, and I really appreciate it. Pro number 5, financial. Australia has one of the highest minimum wages in the whole world. Once you have it's a bit hard to land a job here, but once you do land a job here, the high living expenses is manageable. And once you do start earning them Aussie dollars and you decide to maybe travel the world or go back to your home country, it's very affordable. You get a lot of money to spend. So it's really good to work here. Even if you plan to just go here temporarily, work here, it's well worth it. Pro number 5, beautiful country. Australia has it all. Subtropical weather in Queensland, oceanic weather in Victoria, humid subtropical weather in New South Wales, and Mediterranean weather in Adelaide. There's also mountainous regions in Perth, and the unique nature of Tasmania. There are many world wonders here, like the Uluru Red Rock, Great Barrier Reef, Sydney's Opera House, and many more. Australia overall is very clean, developed, and there is a beautiful harmony of old iconic buildings and homes with modern infrastructure. Now moving on to the 5 cons being an international student here in Australia. Of course, the very first con is job hunting is hard. It's really hard. I know so many international students who have been looking for a full-time job after they graduated for months. COVID-19 restrictions made job hunting even harder. A lot of my friends work casual jobs like tram sanitation, hospitality, door-to-door sales, or telesales. It's hard to find a full-time job here because there are hundreds, if not thousands, of highly skilled workers going to Australia. I'm lucky enough to find a full-time job in my field. I made a video discussing the steps on how to find a job in Australia as an international student. Just click on the link somewhere around this screen. So con number 2, tuition fees are expensive. Not as expensive as the US, but it's still expensive. I chose a not so expensive university to take my master's in. I paid about $12,000 plus per term of 4 units. I have friends studying in Melbourne Uni or Deakin Uni that are paying double of my tuition fee. Overall, the education system in Australia is equal throughout the country. Like, the syllabus is the same for every course. I think the main differences between, for example, Melbourne Uni and an affordable uni like mine is the professors and the students that you'll be interacting with and making friends with. Con number 3, getting PR is hard. It'll only get harder to get PR here in Australia. My uncle moved here back more than 20 years ago. Back then, getting PR was simple. I think you just needed to stay and work in Australia for 5 years, and you're already qualified to apply for PR. Now, getting PR is really hard, especially if you're living in Melbourne, Sydney, and Brisbane. The government is giving more incentive to international students to live in regional areas like Perth, Canberra, Adelaide. So before coming here, please make sure you do your research. A lot of people our age would definitely prefer to live in a hustling, bustling city compared to a quiet country town or regional area. So yeah, make sure you do your proper research and due diligence so that you are properly prepared on what kind of lifestyle you'll have depending on which city you go to. Con number 4, same as the pro. Australia is secluded from the rest of the world. It took me 9 hours of flight time to get to Melbourne from Manila. It takes 12 hours to go to India. It takes more than a day to get to the other side of the world on the northern hemisphere. Yes, I mean the US, Canada, Europe. All my backpacker friends took way longer. Some of them even took longer than a day to get there. Con number 5, because there is a high minimum wage, everything in Australia is expensive. But as I mentioned, once you land a job, all expenses are manageable. But especially now with Corona, it's really hard to find a job. And once you're unemployed and for for quite some time and you're living in Melbourne, for example, it's so expensive. I mean, rent just for a private room would probably cost you up to $250 to $300 and up dollars per week. So if looking at it, that's like 1,000 Australian dollars per month. So it's a bit hard if you're unemployed and you're depending on whatever your parents are sending you to support your living in major cities like Melbourne and Sydney. So I suggest, for example, you can't find a job yet, which is understandable during this pandemic. Maybe try and move out in the country so that your living expenses would be way lower. Like for example, here in Bendigo, I know a lot of people who are paying just $150 per month and they have their own private room, which is really good. And I heard some of them even charge even lower. So just go around, find a good deal, and that's it. And that wraps up my video for my 5 pros and cons on why you should choose Australia as for your overseas study. I hope that this helped you in your journey for choosing on which country to go to. I understand it's a bit hard right now with the pandemic. So if you guys have any questions, just shoot them down below. I'll try my best to answer them. And as always, please like and subscribe. It would really help my channel. Also hit up the notification bell so you get a little notification once I release the new video. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day and see you in the next one. High five!